the sides. And then if you add just a little bit of paraffin into the candle, it just gives it a nice creamy texture. So our soy wax that we use comes in flakes, and I measured out 8 ounces for each person, and I melted it on warm. If you were doing this at home, you would use a double boiler, and you'd want to set it to 1 or 2, and it takes less than 20 minutes, and it's all fully melted and ready to go. So while we're doing a portion of our class, this is going to heat up to about 175 degrees. And then by the time we mix it into our fragrances and colors, it'll come down to about 165. And then we're going to blend our wax and colors together. And then we're going to let it cool for just a little while longer. And then we'll pour our candles. So soy wax is a really fun thing.
And where do you get it?
I order it online from a candle supply company.
Is there any place here in town that you can get it?
You can get it at Hobby Lobby, but it's not quality. I shouldn't say it's not quality, but I can't speak for the quality. I've seen a couple of candles with them, and yeah. So if you're interested in purchasing, I can sell it to you, or you can buy it online from the suppliers that I use. You don't require a wholesale license. We have a lot of jokes about wicks.
Real funny.
And then you have, oh sorry, we won't do it now, but if you've already started, that's fine. You can stick it into there. And then you'll see your warning label. This is letting you know not to burn your candle around pets or children. Before you burn your candle, you want to make sure that you trim the wick to 1/4 of an inch every time you burn it. On the first burn, you want to make sure that you burn your candle at least 3 hours. After that, you can burn it for as little or as long as you'd like. That first burn is very, very important because a candle has a better memory than we do. So it will remember where you extinguished the flame, and it'll just tunnel right through. So it's very important to make sure that your wax is evenly melted right to the edge of the glass.
I have a question. Pets, is it safety or is it they should bring it?
Pets, just safety, just don't knock it down.
Okay.
Yeah, pets can breathe this. These are all skin grade as well. So people do use all of these fragrances, maybe except for the citronella, because that might be weird. But other than that, and
mosquitoes.
yeah, it's very alluring. And then we have our wick and our wick bar, which is going to stabilize our wick on our glass when we're ready for that. And then you have 2 Q-tips. This is going to be for our scent testing. So the scent testing and the color testing are the most customizable parts of your class, and it's the most fun. In front of you, it kind of goes, it starts kind of here and ends around here, and then starts here and ends over there. So this side of the table is all the same, and this side of the table is pretty much the same. But for your convenience, there's labels on both sides of the box. Give you the actual scent that it's going to be. So what you want to do is make sure that you take your Q-tip, and you can just drop a little bit on the edge of your Q-tip. And then you can take another scent that you want, and you can drop it on the other edge. And then what you do is you stick your Q-tip into the cup.
Can you make a candle with 4 different separate scents?
I can, yes you can.
You can.
Sounds terrible, but it's not. I'm so sorry. Yes, you have to make kind of like 4 small candles at once.
Okay.
So you have to like pour 1 layer,
Right.
let it cure, pour another layer, let it cure, and pour another layer.
Yeah, I actually couldn't do them all at once
Because then they'd all mix together.
Right. Do a lot of people do that?
Not for our classes, but they do. When I have special orders, they special order layer candles.
Yeah.
And for one 4th of July, I did like a freedom candle, so I did the red, white, and blue.
Okay. How many on your candles? What's the most number of wicks you've made?
I did a 6-wick candle
6 wick?
in a jar. It didn't turn out very good. I should have used 5.
Really?
But if I had used 5, it would have been an awesome candle.
Was it the burning?
Yeah, it was just too much heat.
Right. Huh.
So I threw in 1 extra wick and my experiment got lost. But usually what we deal with is like maximum 3 wicks. I don't usually make a bigger. I've learned my lesson.
Have you ever used the leather wick, or are they all
No. Wood
wood
and
wick?
cotton.
Yeah, we had some French candles in here, and they were leather wicks.
No way.
They were really cool.
It'll start to eat away at the cup. You've got a solid 45 minutes to an hour before it goes through, so that's fine. But you want to make sure to keep it kind of away from your clothes if you can, which is why we wear aprons. And then something that's very interesting is that it seems that when you use less fragrance oil, that's when your candle smells the best. As a candle crafter, I know that you can't add too much fragrance because then it's going to do something that's called clogging the wick. So it's actually going to, the wick is going to absorb all of the fragrance, and it's not going to allow the oxygen to get to the wick, which will then not be able to burn or disperse the fragrance. So we have designed our perfect combination of our wax, fragrance, and dye. Have you all selected the fragrances you'd like to use?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. If you're still working on it, take your time. I'm going to check this.
Wax is very nice.
Is that like
You didn't miss
clothes
anything.
that
So
are?
right now, all you have to do is find your scent.
Did you find the
Yeah.
I've got it, yeah, the lavender's nice too, it's very light.
It's amazing.
You don't like it?
No, it's not that I don't like it. I can't smell anything.
You got something wrong with your sniffer?
Yeah, my
Yes,
snippers,
no.
yeah, it's out of order. This is
Lush
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 linen.
linen. I've always been a color person myself.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah. There's another one that I like. It's a C. I think it's a
Black sea is
the
nice.
C.
I think there's
C
only one
breeze
and
or
she's
something.
got it.
Don't you have one at your store?
Yeah.
I don't know. It smells like the sea.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's at my store.
It is
I
like
know
the
exactly
sea.
which one you're
I'll
talking
see if you
about.
wanna try that one.
Well, don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll find it.
Okay. I'm gonna share the black sea.
And then pop it into your cup. Oh, actually, that's my cup. This
And
little
it's
deal.
gone. It'll be gone.
I know.
America's Got
Find the
Talent.
$1 million bill. That's nice. That has like
That's
a,
nice.
it's got, this has more lemon in it than black sea.
I think I'd go a little bit more on the black.
Yeah, I
I'll
would
do it.
do a, okay,
Yeah,
Great.
like it heavier on the
So-
Black Sea with the lemon.
with the lemon, okay. So
Can I
let's
see the
do,
lavender?
yes,
Thank you.
we're gonna do,
7 and 5.
perfect. Exactly, that's awesome. And so that's make sure that everything is on grams.
It's on grams.
It's on grams. It should be because I always work in
How do
grams.
you change it? Could you just
Just use hit the unit button.
milliliter?
Oops, no, wrong one. Yeah, and just keep hitting it until you see the G.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Perfect. You can, candle making is calculated mostly in grams and in ounces, but I just find it easy. On the back is our fragrance indicator. So our fragrance and dye. So we are making our 8-ounce candle, and so we're going to use 12 grams of fragrance. Now the on each bottle it says 3% to 10%. That's what's called the fragrance load. And the fragrance load is what each candle can hold. And it's calculated based on the amount of wax you're using versus the amount of fragrance.
Mm-hmm.
So we keep ours at about a 6% fragrance load. As I said earlier, if you go up to the maximum fragrance load, which is 10%, the candle starts not to smell as much. In a candle, there's something called the cold throw and the hot throw. And the cold throw is when the candle isn't burning, and the hot throw is when the candle is burning. And I really find that our 6%, which equates to 12 grams of fragrance, is perfect for our 8-ounce soy candle. I've tried the 10% and I've tried the 3 and 4%, but this is just perfect. So you are guaranteed to have a beautiful smelling candle from start to finish. Perfect.
All right.
So what I just did is I just took the weight, I teared it out again and then took the weight. Sometimes the scales will just shut off.
That's okay.
So colors. We have our colors here. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to cut this up to make it a little bit easier.
But it's still sitting here.
It's not a ground.
Yeah.
See?
Try another one. Try another
I was
one.
hoping that would work.
Are you ready
She's
for
got
it?
two because she had two
Try to break
pieces.
this up a little bit.
Okay.
I noticed that last class, a lot of it won't dissolve.
There was on one before it went off, and then I turned it back on, and now it's not on.
But you're mixing it with
It's
water?
temperamental. Now it is. Now it's okay.
Now, it's,
Oh,
is it on one?
Well,
Yeah, now
try
it's on
this.
one. Okay, so now we're gonna put it in and mix it.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to go through the bottom of the.
Oh, it won't. Don't
Okay.
worry. Try not to stab the wax. There's no. These are not wax cups.
Okay, so it must be coming off the color.
The color
Okay.
block. If you use a wax cup, the wax cups just disintegrate as soon as the fragrance oil. So if you decide to use this blending method when you're making your candle at home, make sure to get non-wax lined cups.
That's there.
So just stir like crazy. We'll stir this until the wax portions are almost all done. And your wax at this point, when we're pouring, is going to get quite solid very quickly, and that's okay.
Stop breaking it down. No. Mine did.
Of which there's espresso balsamic
Yeah,
vinegar
is that an espresso you could throw in
and a
there?
dark chocolate.
That smells like a good candle.
I just got in a chocolate fudge fragrance oil, so I haven't tested it yet. I had to test every single one of these fragrances because some fragrances don't bind properly with certain waxes. So I have done a lot of work to perfect the art of this candle glass. For instance, we have our wicks, which we'll be putting in our candle very soon. There are so many styles of wicks, types of wicks, lengths of wicks, wick materials. And every glass that you pour needs a different size. So I've had to try over the years probably 6 or 7 or 8 different kinds of wicks with 3 to 4 different kinds of waxes. So it's candle making is actually a science, as you got to notice.
Or an art.
Or an art. It's both.
Yeah.
So I have developed the perfect wick for the perfect candle. There you go. 38. So I am pouring 230 grams of wax, 243. Okay, by the last one I'll be like 230. So we're gonna have to short pour your candle quite a bit. And then I'll put yours on. There we go.
Oh, fingers.
Here. A scientist.
Yes, exactly.
And you get some wax, and you get some wax, and you get some wax.
Too much. Okay. Purple. That is purple. Now, don't be too shocked because when the candle cures, it's going to lighten up quite a bit.
There you go. Just like.
Get a great stick. I used to put them on after, but before. But so you can peel it off, and you want to. I find that it's easiest to pick up your glass. Now these are hand blown, so sometimes the circle isn't going to be. You'll see like a swirly, but your goal is to adjust your eyes like so and get it right into the middle of the glass or as close as possible. Good job. And then what you want to do is you want to take
German engineering.
and then what you want to do is take your wick
Push it down.
You
wick
look like my
bar,
mom driving on the
push down your
sidewalk.
sticker. Dish. These wicks allow for a little bit of movement. So as long as you've got it moderately centered, we're good.
Reach down and
And then what you want to do is take your wick bar and press it down. This is going to make sure that the sticker secures to the glass. Because the wax is such a high temperature, you want to make sure that no wax gets underneath, because then you get a floating wick. Oh, the fun we've had with floating wicks as well. I've had some fun parties. And after that's done, we're going to put our wick bar on. So the wick bar is going to keep the wick straight throughout the curing process. When you, actually, no, we should put on the label. Yeah. But you want to make sure to keep your candle jar on a flat surface. And don't hold it up in the air because that's risky. And so you want to bend your cup so it has a little lip. And I like to touch my cup to the end of the edge of the glass. Now, if I pour like this, the chances that I'm going to get some spill on the side of the glass is very good. And because that wax is going to cure faster than the wax inside, it's going to show. So what you want to do is make sure that you pour nice and evenly away from the edge of the candle and just keep pouring nice and steady. If you pour too slowly, so if you pour at this pace, you're going to get what's called pour lines. Pour lines look really neat. If it happens, it's fine. But they're just going to be very even lines throughout your candle. That's because it's curing faster than the wax is coming in. So you just want a nice, steady, even pace.
Awesome. Okay. Great. Pretty color. Yours too. They're different colors. You got the navy, right? Or did you do purple? Oh, purple too.
Yeah, lavender.
Lavender. I figured since like you have the fragrance,
Yeah.
the color. I'm sure my husband would have preferred a coffee.